Hi there! In today's video I'm working on my ChatGPT clone project again, which is called ChatWTF. Now this chatbot is made with PHP and it uses the ChatGPT API. So if I go to this ChatWTF website that is running on my localhost, I can say something like hello and it will answer me back, hello, how may I assist you today? And if I go and refresh this page, it still remembers the chat history. And this of course can do everything that ChatGPT can do, except of course those plugins that ChatGPT has now. So I can say something like, how do you write hello world in C? And it will give me the answer quite happily. And it will also format this code. And we also got this explanation of what the code does. But now in today's video, what I would like to do is I would like to implement this conversation history that the actual ChatGPT website has. So you can create a new chat and it will remember the old chat and it will create these headings for all of these different conversations. So let's try and do that today. So if I go to my code here, we are currently getting the chat history from this context variable from the session. And then we are creating a new messages array and we are adding the system message to that array and then the old messages from the context and then the new message that we got from the user in this request. And then we send those messages to the ChatGPT API, and when we get a message back, we add it to the messages array and then save it as the new context. But now if we want to have multiple conversations, then one simple thing we could do is we could just add another layer to this array. So currently this context array looks something like this. So this is what the current context looks like. So we have an array of arrays which have a role key and a content key. And the role describes whether it's the user message or the assistant message. And the content tells the content of the message. Now, if we would like to have separate conversations, then what we could do is we could call this, let's say, conversations. And then we could have here a key, conv1. I will actually call this chats. And chat1. And then this would be an actual array and we would pass in all of these messages in the key messages. So this would be an array and it would contain all of these messages. So now we could have multiple chats. So we can have another chat here, chat2, which has its own messages. So this is what it would look like. So then if we want to post a message to a specific chat, then we just send the chat ID along with the new message that we are going to add to the conversation. And then if we go to our index.php, then here we are looping through the chat history this way right now. But this would be changed to chats and we would have the chat ID here. So we just pass the chat ID here depending on which chat we want to print on the page. Now currently this is directly in the index.php, which is not that great because now we have to refresh the whole page in order to get a different conversation. But we can fix that. So let's actually try and do this. So I'll actually leave this like this. Chats, chat ID. And I will just hard code this chat ID for the moment here. So we will say chat ID is 123. And then we will go to our message.php and we will edit this. This is just a sample. I will remove this. And then here we will say that the context will equal chats index chat ID. And we will get the chat ID from the request. Chat ID equals get chat ID. And then when we use context again, we are now adding to that specific conversation. So here we just have to do the same thing. So this will be chat ID and this will be called chats. So now if I save this and we will go back here and I refresh this, we of course get nothing because we don't have that kind of data inside of the session currently. But it should now work. So if I say something like hello, sorry, it won't work right now because I didn't send the chat ID yet. So let's go to index.php and let's pass it in here. We have this beautiful script tag here where we set this base URI. So let's do the same thing with the chat ID. Chat ID. So now we can use this variable inside the JavaScript. So I can go to my script.js and we can scroll down to where we send the message, which is here. We will just add here chat ID equals chat ID, and we send the message as well. So now if I go back here and I refresh and I say hello, then we should get an answer. And now if I refresh the page, we should still get the same thing. And if I ask something else, can you write hello world in Rust? It still works, and it's writing hello world in Rust. Okay, so now let's try to change manually the conversation ID. So if I refresh this page, we still have this here. So if I now go to index.php and now I set here 321 and I go back to the website and I refresh, we have nothing. So if I now say write a poem about PHP. PHP, a language so bright, powers the internet with its might. From websites to apps, it's the key to bring the online world to you and me. Okay, and if I refresh this, I still have this chat here. But if I now go back here and I change this back to 123, then I should get the original chat. Yes, now we have hello, and how can I assist you today, and can you write hello world in Rust? So now we can actually change between them. But of course, we don't want to do this because we want to be able to change it through the UI. So now I can change it back to this one. So let's create a sidebar here where we would have all these different conversations. So let's go to our index.php, and how should we do this? Perhaps we could add a div here and we could call it wrapper. And we will add the chat messages inside the wrapper. And then we will add another div, which will be sidebar. And then here we should loop through all of the chats. So we could do something like this. Chats are session chats, or empty array if there are no chats. And then we can loop through all of these. So we can say for each of the chats as chat. We will say echo, and what will we echo? Let's put a link here. And we will add here chat, and we should use like the title, but we don't have a title right now, so I will just get actually the key. So I will say chat ID, and that will be the key. So chat ID to chat. Okay, so for each of the chats, we get the chat ID as the key and the chat as the actual chat data. And probably would be nice to make this like a list. So let's do that. And let's actually put something here, UL and UL. So now we should get a list of the chat IDs there. Now it's going to be formatted terribly, but let's just check if we get something. Yes, here we have 1, 2, 3 and 3, 2, 1. So we could actually do this. We could use this href here and just say base URI / index.php question mark chat ID equals the chat ID. And I will try and make this a bit nicer. So let's say this is link, and link will be that. And then we could take the chat ID actually from the get parameter. So we can say get chat ID or a random ID. Let's do unique ID. Chat true. Or maybe we don't need these prefixes or more entry. That should be enough. So let's go back to our website and let's refresh. So now I should actually be able to click. Wait a minute. Why am I getting some chat history here already? This is because we are using PHP, which is a very fun language that allows us to use the same variables everywhere. So I will just call this ID up here because this is replacing the chat ID. So it's going to use the last chat ID as the global variable. So that should fix it. So if I refresh this now, we have nothing here. But if I click on 1, 2, 3, we refresh the page, which is not that nice, but we get this chat history here. And if we click on 3, 2, 1, we get another chat history. So that is great. Now we have to fix this UI because it looks terrible now. So let's go to the inspection, which is of course the best UI development tool there is. So we will go to wrapper and let's use flexbox here. So we will say that the display of this will be flex. So right now we already got this side by side. And then we go to sidebar, and I don't really know flexbox that much, but I can probably do something like, well, maybe it should be actually in the wrapper. Actually, I can use this tool that the dev tools kindly give us. So I want to have some kind of space here. So, well, it doesn't help in this case. So I think it's something like flex gap. What is it? Gap. Column gap 1, 2, 3 pixels. Okay, 10 pixels, 20 pixels. Okay, that's good. And then if I go to sidebar and I add some kind of background, but actually I want some darker thing. So let's do that. And let's add some padding of, let's say, 15 pixels and text align left. It is already left, but there's some padding in the UL and LI elements. No, I actually don't want to have the border over here, which comes from the body. So in fact, I think I can remove it from the body. So I will say padding 20, 20, 20, and 0. Okay, and then I can go back to my sidebar, and I would actually like this to start from right from the top. So perhaps I should move my header inside of this chat messages or create another div inside there. So let's do that. That is enough usage of dev tools right now. So I'll try to remember what I changed here. So let's go to our style.css and body first of all is 20, 20, 20 and 0, and sidebar. We will add sidebar, which will be display flex, sorry, not sidebar, wrapper. Wrapper will be that, and sidebar background will be, I think it was this. And what else? We also have a padding of 15 pixels. So let's add padding 15 pixels. And I'll add sidebar UL and sidebar LI to have list style none and list style type none. And padding 0, margin 0. So now we should not have any, first of all, bullets in it or any padding or margin. So let's in fact go and see what this looks now. If I refresh, okay. So now what I want to do is I want to have a minimum width for this. So let's do, actually let's just set width to 300 pixels. Is that too much? That is too much. I'll put just 200 pixels. That is pretty good. Kind of big still, so I'll put 170. Okay, that's pretty good. Now for some reason this will overflow under this text area here. And that is because I had the overflow on the chat messages element. So let's go here and actually set the height of this 100%. And then I will set the wrapper width, height, to 100% minus that. So if I now refresh, then now it looks better. So now we can scroll this chat history here and it will not go under this text area here. Now I actually kind of like that this sidebar is not the full height of this, because I don't really like it in ChatGPT that this message box is here, especially when I want to zoom in when I make these videos. Then it's really hard to zoom because there's this extra space here. So I will in fact keep it this way, but I will change it a little bit. Let's put like a border top right radius 10 pixels, and let's put a border bottom right radius 10 pixels. So we have this little border here, and I'll change the color. What is a good color? Let's just make it like this, 333. That's a good color. So 333. And let's see. Okay. Doesn't look amazing, but it's all right. And of course the border radius. Okay, that looks not horrible. Should I in fact make it just float there so that I will actually have the padding 20 pixels here and it will float like that. But I would like it to be on the same level as this first message box here. So how do I do that? So in fact I will just put border radius is 10 pixels. And then how do I move it down a bit from the top? I just add margin top 10 pixels. Okay, I think that did it. So now all of these are nicely here. Great, so I will do that. So what did I do? This is the problem with using the dev tools to design your system, because then you have to do the same changes in your code. So border radius 10 pixels, margin top 10 pixels, and body will be padding 20 pixels. And let's go back and refresh. And it looks like this. So that's pretty good. Let's see if I take out my zoom, is it still okay? Yeah, pretty good. Although now this chat message box looks kind of off, but that's okay. This is not about UI design. We just want to create the backend. So let's go back to our 150%, and that looks pretty good. But let's style these sidebar links now. So I'll do something like padding 5 pixels. And actually I have to set display inline block. And I will put a border of 1 pixels CCC, solid, and not quite CCC. Let's do something else. A little bit of border, and border radius 5 pixels, 7 pixels. And in fact I will just make it block. And that looks pretty good. So let's give this style to the links in the sidebar. So I'll just say sidebar A will be that. And I will actually remove the padding a little bit. Just 10 pixels is enough. So let's refresh. And I need some margin as well. Margin, sorry, for the links, margin bottom. Margin bottom 5 pixels. And refresh. That is good enough. But one more thing. Text decoration, none. I don't want underline here. Okay, that is pretty good. It would be nice to have some sort of hover effect. So let's add that as the last thing. So let's do sidebar A hover, and let's add some background. Background, what is going to be a good background? Something like that. Let's see. That's not really noticeable. A little lighter, like this, and refresh. Okay, so now we can select this one, which I already selected. We can select this one, and then it will open that one. Okay, so now we can change between these chat conversations. But now, how do we create a new chat conversation? Well, it's kind of simple right now because we just give it the chat ID. So if we remove this, it's automatically a new chat. So let's just make a button that says new chat. So let's go to index.php, and I'll just add here one li with a link to the base URL, URI, slash, and li, and this will be new chat. And let's give it a class new chat. And I in fact don't need my clear chat functionality anymore because it will be handled by that. But now I should create a delete chat functionality. So if I go back here and I refresh, so now we have a new chat button. So if we now click 1, 2, 3, we get this chat. If we click 3, 2, 1, we get this chat. And if we click new chat, we get a new chat. And then hopefully if I say something, something. Okay, that's very literal. So now if we refresh this page, we should get a new ID here, which actually should be a title. So we should generate the titles next. And if I click here, then we go to say something. Okay, so that's a very basic implementation of this conversation history. Now, of course, this is saved in a session, which is not the best solution for this, because if I clear my cookies, then all this chat history disappears, or if the session expires. And storing it in the session is not necessarily very performant because sessions are stored in files usually. And even if they're stored in a database, they will be stored in a serialized format. So then you have to unserialize it, and it's not that good. So in a future episode, I should change this to use some kind of database to store these chat histories. But then we also have to create some kind of login mechanism because we have to know which user is using the application so that we can get the chat history of that user. And that would then allow people to go on any computer and then log into their own account and then get their chat history. But that is for another video. Now let's do a couple more things here. First of all, if I add a new chat now, this will probably overflow. So if I say hello, and it will say hi. And if I refresh this, then now it's over here. So we have to add overflow auto to this chat sidebar. So let's do that. Let's add here sidebar overflow auto. And then I want to do the following. I want this not to overflow as well. So there is something in CSS that we can use here. So we can say text overflow ellipsis. And we have to set overflow hidden. So now we get this automatic ellipsis here. That is great. So no coding required. Well, is CSS coding? Let's do that. This should be in the A, in the link. Okay, so if we now go back here and we refresh, then now we have this beautiful sidebar here. And if the conversation title is too long, we will have these automatic ellipses. Great. Now how does this look like at 100%? Pretty good. I might use some percentage to set the width of this sidebar. So then it might be longer when I have a bigger screen. But let's not get into that right now. So let's zoom back in so that my mobile watchers can see what's going on. So let's create those chat titles, automatic chat titles. So first of all, let's go to our index.php and I'll add a plus to this new chat thing. And then here I should say title equals chat title, or if there is no title, we should get maybe just the ID. Let's just do this. And then when should we create the title? Now we could create it here. If there is no title, then we create it. But actually I want to create it here when we get the message. So when we have gotten the response. But no, I don't want to create it every time I get a response from ChatGPT. It should be only for the first time. And now I realize I have a problem here. I did not create this as I thought I would, because I should have the key here called messages. That is the correct way this should work. So let's do this. Let's go back up here and we will actually get this chats, chat ID messages, otherwise an array. And then down here, we have to now check other things as well. So we have to first of all check if we don't have these chats. So if we don't have this, then this will be an array. If we don't have this, then this will be an array with messages, which is an array, and a title, which is, let's call it null. Here I should say if it is not set. And then there's actually no need to set the title to null, because if we are going to set it to null, then we might as well create the title here. So now what we will do is we will say ChatGPT create title. And this is a function we have to create. And I'll just pass in the messages, okay? So if we don't have this yet, then we create it with messages being empty and a title with the title created from the messages. And then we set the messages to the actual new array of messages. But the title will be created from the first message. So that should work. So let's go to index and do the same thing here. So chats. So this is fine. We get the chats from the session, and then we get the ID of the chat, and then we get the chat, which will have the title and the messages, okay? But here we have to say chat history is session, chats, chat ID, messages, like this. So that should work now. And I think that this double question mark will work even with multiple keys here. Hopefully, let's see. So now we have to create ChatGPT create title. So let's go to our chatgpt.php. And here I have the function that sends the message to ChatGPT. Now this one uses the streaming, which I do not need for the creation of the title. So I will in fact copy this and I will create a new one. So this will be ChatGPT create title. And now could I actually use this chatbot directly to create the title? So if I actually use the API that I use in script.js, I would just send a message to it with some random new chat ID, and the message would be create a title for this chat. That would be pretty cool. But what I will do for now is I will create my own function for this. So this will be creates a title for a chat conversation based on the history, based on the messages. And this will be title from ChatGPT. So I'll do exactly this. ChatGPT create title with the messages, API key and the model, and we will send it to completions. And we will not stream this one. So we do not need the write function. So I will remove all of this. And then the response text will be just the curl exec. So response will be the JSON response from ChatGPT. Okay, so if we got some error, then we throw an error. And then we should get the response text, which will be response text equals JSON, which I have to do here. JSON is JSON decode the response. And then response text is JSON. And I forgot already how this works, so I have to go to platform.openai.com and see the API reference. And it will be in this format, so we have to get choices, 0, message, content. Okay. Choices, 0, message, content. Right? Yes. So first of all, we have to check if we don't get this JSON. If we were unable to convert the JSON, then there was an error. JSON error. And then, if we don't have this, if this is not set, then we will have some kind of error. Unknown error. Otherwise, we just return this. And that should be the title. And I saw that it added the quotation marks there, so I will just do trim this, and I will trim away the quotation marks. And actually there can be an error. Error. Nothing about errors in this documentation, that's great. So it doesn't really matter for this particular function, because I don't want the title to be the error message. So actually I have two ifs here, I don't need this. Just that, if that is not set, then we throw an exception. And I'll just call it error, and I will pass in here print R of the error, of the JSON, true. So at least we get the error. So let's save this to create title.php. And I should not have a semicolon here, just a comma. So now we should get a title from this function. So we are going to have to include it here. So create title.php. And we have to pass in the API key. So we have to do this. And let's go back to our website. And I actually want to remove my session, because these of course don't work anymore because we changed the format of the session variable. So let's go to application and cookies and remove PHP session ID from here and refresh. And actually I should click new chat, and then let's say something. Hello there, how are you? And we got an error in the request, so let's see what is the error. Curl error exception. Cannot redeclare. Oh, sorry about that. I should move my exceptions in another file. But right now I will just remove them from this file because they are defined here in the ChatGPT function already. So let's try again. Hello there, how are you? I am an AI language model, so I don't have feelings as humans do, but I'm functioning normally. I will use this when someone asks me, how are you? I am functioning normally. Okay, so let's refresh and see if we got a title. No, we did not get a title. Let's go and see what is the problem with this. Messages and title. Let's create a new file and call this debug.php. And let's here do session start and let's print our session. And let's do a pre. So now if we go to debug.php, we have all the things here and we have a title here. Is there anything you need help with or have any questions I can assist you with? Okay, so we created a title, but I forgot to format the prompt so that it gives a title. But why don't we see the title here? We have this here and we have messages, which is an array, and we have a title, which is a string. But why don't we see it back here? Let's go back to index, session chats, ID and chat. Title is chat, title or ID. Because I did not change it here. We have to in fact do that. So we have to print the actual title there. So now if I go back here and I refresh, and now we have, is there anything you need help with or have any questions I can assist you with? Now, it's on many lines, so I have to fix something here. I have to set like a height 20 pixels. No, I have to set white space, no wrap. Okay, let's do that. White space, no wrap. And now I have to actually change this function so that it actually has a prompt for ChatGPT. So in fact what I will do is I will add messages this way. I will say, user, create a concise title for the following chat conversation. And can I just do new line and just do JSON encode messages? It should understand that. And this actually has to be an array with the role user and content that. Content role user. And should I add like a system message here? Role system. And content is you are a title generator. Respond only with the title. Okay, so now it should respond with the title. So let's go back here and refresh and create a new chat, and I will say, how do you write hello world in C++? And then it will give me the answer, hopefully. Now, it did take a bit longer now, which is not a good thing, because it will send that title request first before it starts to answer. So I have to fix that. But we got an answer here, and if I refresh this page, then we actually got how to write, and hopefully there is something more. So if I go to debug.php, then here we will have title, how to write hello world in C++. Okay, so now we have titles too. Now, I don't really like this that it takes longer for it to answer now because it creates a title. So let's try another approach. What if we go to our script.js and we do it here instead? So here we have a send message that sends a message to the chatbot. And then after it gets the message, it updates the message in the UI. So what if we do the same thing, but we post to a different endpoint that only gets the title? So after we send the first message, we would post to another endpoint and get the title. We could do that. So if I change my create title.php to actually call this function, create ChatGPT, what did I call it? ChatGPT create title. And I will pass in an array of messages, which could just come from the post messages. And then the API key will be from the settings and the model from the settings. So let's do the same as message.php. Let's get the settings. And then let's add the API key and the model here. Like this. And we'll just echo this. And that's really it for this endpoint. So if let's change it to get for now, and then if I go here and I say create title.php and I send it something like messages 0 role is user and messages 0 content is who are you, and messages 1 role is assistant and messages 1 content is I won't tell you that. And if we go here, we should get a title for this mysterious assistant. We should get a title for this conversation. Okay, that is a very good title. Mysterious assistant. So now if we go back to our script.js, we can create a new function here. Function create title, and it will get the messages. And it will just fetch base URI plus / create title.php, and then we should add it in the post. How do I do this again? I'm a jQuery man for life. So let's do, in fact, why don't we just ask ChatWTF? How do I make a post request with JavaScript fetch API and get the response into a variable? Damn it, I have an error. I have to go back to my message to PHP and I will have to set the title to untitled. And I have to remove this one from here. And let's do this again. To make a post request with JavaScript fetch API and get the response into a variable, you can use the following code. Okay, so let's copy this code, which seems very hard to do for some reason in this UI. Okay, copy that, and let's go to script.js, paste it here, and format this a bit nicer. And your URL will be this. Post and body will be JSON stringify. Okay, I just want to use regular ass things. So let's change it to JSON then, since that seems to be the norm nowadays. So this will be JSON decode file get contents PHP input, which might not be the safest thing in the world. Let me know in the comments if there are some security implications with this, but let's do that. And here I will just say messages will be messages, and then I actually have to do something to it over here. JSON decode, and I will get the messages. And let's go back here, and this will be JSON as well. Can you do it so that I just send a post array and the response is plain text? Thank you. Body JSON stringify data application JSON. I don't want to use JSON, I want to use form data. Why is this so difficult? Can I use jQuery? Form data object, append key value, your URL, post data. Okay, let's do this. Let's go back to create title and remove all this crap from here. And this will be post, and we will go here and we will do this. And this will be the URL, and we will add here messages key, and the value I hope can be an array messages. and then we will do that, and we get the text, and here's the response text. And then we should pass in the title box, and we will say that title box dot text content equals response text. Is that how you use text content? I hope you do. Otherwise we log the error. Okay, fine. Doesn't it log the error automatically if we don't catch it? I think so. Whatever. So this should now work. It will get the messages as an array, and then it will get the title and put it into title box. So then what we should do is we should detect when we send a message, if this is the first message, then we create the title. But I am running short on time right now, so I will have to continue this later. So see you in a moment. Alright, after a short break of 3 days, I am back at this again. So let's finish this video. So during these 3 days, I actually did look into this project a little bit, and I figured out that I cannot do this way. So I can't just pass this messages array into this form data with this append. So it's not going to work with an array as I would expect. So what in fact I will do is I will just simply pass two different things here. So I'll pass the question and the answer into this create title.php. So instead of messages, I will get question and answer. And I will post those into create title.php. And then in my create title.php, what I will do is, again, I will pass here the question and the answer. So question and answer. And I will change my function to take the string of an answer and a string of the question. And then what I will do is I will change my prompt from messages to question and answer, but this will not be JSON decoded. I will just say that this will be Q and that will be the question, and then I will add here A, which will be the answer. So I will say create a concise title for the following chat conversation, question and answer. So this should now give me a title for this conversation. So now in our script.js we have this title box here, which should be the element into which we are writing the title that comes out of this endpoint. So after we get the actual response text, we will set the text content of the title box to the response. And actually I did that already here. So did I call this already? Create title? No, I did not call this anywhere. So now what we should do is when we create a new chat conversation, when we send the first message and get a response, then we should create a title for that conversation. So we should first of all know if this is the first message in the conversation or not. So a simple way that we could do that is we could go up here, and again we could pass in here new chat, which will be true or false based on something. Let's say new chat true or false. Now I don't really like this approach, and we will fix this in a future video. But for now we will do it like this, because this seems like the simplest answer at the moment. So then what I can do up here is I can say that new chat is the same as isSet get chat ID. So if we have, in fact this should be negative. If we do not have a chat ID, then this is a new chat. And then we pass it to the JavaScript here, so that in our script.js we will also know whether this is a new chat or not. So then what we can do here is when we send a new message with the send message function, in the end we should have the response in this response variable. So here, when we get the stop message from the event source, we will add the title to the link to this conversation. Now the problem is that we don't have the link to this conversation right now, because we don't do anything when I click new chat. And actually I lost all my chat history now because I haven't been working on this project for 3 days and my sessions have been expired already. But anyway, we don't have a place where to put this title. So perhaps we could use this new chat button as the place. So when we send a message here, then this new chat will turn into the title and there will be a new button called new chat. Or rather, we will add a new button after I send the first message. How does it work in ChatGPT? If I click new chat, nothing happens. But then if I say hello, then my session has expired here as well. So now if I click new chat, nothing happens. But if I say hello, then we will add it here. Okay, so we should do something like this. So let's go back here. And here we should call create title. And we should pass in the question, which I think I have already in a question variable. Yes, it is a question. And the answer will be response. So I will pass in question and response. And then the title box, which I should create here. So how do we create a new title box? Let's go to our index.php, and here we have a list item in the sidebar. So after this new chat, we should add another list item. So I will in fact move this new chat class to the li element, not the link element. And then what I can do is I can do something like this. Let title box equal document.createElement. Again, I'm not that good in vanilla JS, so let's see if I can do this. And I guess this is just a li element. And then I can create a link element. Let title link. Is it really this difficult to do this? There must be a more concise way of doing this. Document.createElement. And this will be A. And then I should add the title box to the title link. So do I do something like title box append child title link? Maybe it's this way. And then what I can do is, in fact, that is what I will do. Now I should set the link ref of this link element. And what will that be? It will be the chat ID from here. Because if we don't have a chat ID, we will create a unique ID. And I think we passed this in here to JavaScript. So we can use this. And the link was in this format. Base URI / index.php chat ID. So I can do this. I can say title link set attribute and href, and value will be base URI plus / index.php chat ID equals plus, and I will put in the global variable chat ID. Okay, so this should create an empty element, an li element, and inside that an a element with an href to the chat. And then the create title function will actually add the title to that element, hopefully. Let's see if this actually works. So let's refresh this page. And let's say, what is the tallest building in the world? And we are going to get an answer, hopefully. Yes, as of 2021, the tallest building in the world is the Burj Khalifa. Okay, and nothing happened after that. Let's check our console. What did we get? Create title. We sent a message there, and the response was the Burj Khalifa, world's tallest building. So we got the response, but we did not add the element. And we have some sort of error here, but this might have come already a long time ago. So I will not worry about this one, and I will clear all of this. So it didn't work. So what is the problem here? Let's actually check the elements here, and did it actually add something? Well, I'm an idiot because I didn't actually append this to the DOM. So I created an imaginary title box and a title link and added the title link to the title box, but I didn't add the title box anywhere. So what I have to do then is I have to say let new chat link equal document query selector, and it will be li.new chat like this. And then I will actually move this higher. But then I will say new chat link dot append child title link title box. Okay, and I'll move this up here, so I will get it as a const. Great. Did I use a class for it or an ID? Class. All right. Probably should be an ID, but Let's see if this will work now. So that is done. So now we're actually adding it to the DOM. So let's go back here and refresh, and it is now called untitled because that is the default title. But now if I say, what is the tallest building in the world? And then I will get the same answer, and hopefully now we will get a new box here. Yes, we got a new box, and we got some text, but it looks horrible. I probably added it in the wrong place. So I added it to the title box, but I should add it to the title link. Now, can I add to the title link like this? If I create it here and then I append it to another thing, can I still add to it? Does it reference the same thing? Or is it now moved to the DOM and it's a different thing? I'm not sure. So let's see if it works. So let's refresh this, and it's still untitled for some reason because we don't actually save it, okay? But let's try this one more time. What is the tallest building in the world? And we get the... As an AI language model, I do not have access to current events, okay? And we get a box, and now we have the title there. Now you can't really see it because the text is too big, but trust me, it is there. So now we are creating a title for the chat. But now we should save this to the actual session, because if I refresh, it will disappear. So how do we do that? Well, we should probably pass in the chat ID here and pass this to the endpoint so that we know which chat ID this title is created. So then I will add it here, chat ID, and I will add it here as well, chat ID, and that's it in the JavaScript side. Then in create title, what we have to do is we have to say that title is that. And in the end, we echo title. And then we have to say that session chats chat ID title will be the title. That's all we have to do. But I have to get the chat ID is post chat ID. And I have to make sure that it is actually called chats. And I have to start the session here. So I'll just add it here. Session start. In fact, over here. And let's go to our message.php and session chats chat ID messages. And we will have the title as well, which at first is untitled. Okay, so perhaps that will actually work. So let's refresh this again and let's say, what is the distance from the Earth to the Moon? The average distance from the Earth to the Moon is 238,855 miles. And we get a title here. And now, if I refresh, okay, we got it here, but it is the last element. So we should in fact sort these in reverse order. So let's do that. So let's go to our index.php. Now in a previous video I did some sorting in C, but luckily in PHP sorting is a lot more simpler. I hope. Let's actually see how am I going to do this. So since we used unique ID here, I believe that this is created from the timestamp. So we can actually sort by this ID. So we are lucky in this case. So I think we can just do something like AR sort, and we will pass in the chat history. And that's really it. That's all. So A means that it is an associative array sort, and R means that it is reverse. So this should sort it by the key. Wait a minute. Sort an array in reverse order and maintain index association. This is not the right one. It's KR sort. Sort an array by key in reverse order. Okay, this is what we have to do. Key, reverse order, sort. Okay, so if I do that and I refresh, then it does not work. Why does it not work? Sorry, I have to sort the array of chats. This one. Now, probably makes more sense to sort it when we actually add to it. Or rather, we should use array unshift to add the element to the beginning so we don't have to sort it. So let's do this. I will run this once, which should sort it, hopefully. So now it's sorted. So if I now remove this, it should be sorted since I changed the session variable. So it will be now saved to the session this way. So now if I go to my message.php, then here I am appending this to the chats array. But now I have to prepend it. So I have to say array unshift. I think this is the right function. Prepend elements to the beginning of an array. Now the thing is, I have to pass in the ID as well. So we will prepend into this array and we will prepend this element. But we have to add the key as well. How do we do that? Let's use our friend ChatWTF. How do I prepend to an array in PHP including a key? You can prepend using the array unshift. To include a key for the new element, you can use the array merge to combine the new element and the original array. Create a sample array, original array. Key 1, value 1, key 2, value 2. Create a new element with a key, new value. Array merge, array, new element, original array. Output the updated array. Okay, so we're just using array merge then. Wait a minute. This is not what I want. So in fact, if I do array merge, if I say array merge, this one with chat ID like that, but then I actually reverse these. So I have this as the original array and I will merge it with that. And then I will say that session chats equals that. But is this any better than sorting? I have no idea. Like, is this performant? Yes, this is PHP. We don't care about performance. So let's do like this and see what happens. So if I now refresh this first of all, then this one goes to the end. But now I will say, hello, how can I assist you? And we got it here, short greeting, I guess. And refresh, then yes, now it's in the beginning. So that's how we can do it. Great. So now the new chats go to the beginning here. That's good. Now can I make this a bit smaller so that I can actually see the text here? Font size 0.9 em, 8, 7. Okay, let's do that. Style.css, font size 0.7 em. And refresh. Okay, now we see a little bit more. Now I guess we could put a title there too. So we can say title will be this as well. So title will be the title as well. So the HTML title of this element will be the title of the chat. And I have to do it on the JavaScript side as well. So here where I add it, I will in fact move this to the create title function. So we set the text content to this and we set the attribute of title to the response text as well. And let's see if this will happen. So if I put my cursor here, it says the average distance from the Earth to the Moon. Great. And then if I say something like, how do I create a website in Rust? And I should have created a new chat. So I'll do that. And then I will say, how do you write hello world in Rust? To write hello world in Rust, follow these steps. Open up a text editor. Create a new Rust project. Open up the source main.rs file. Save the file. This will print hello world. So now we get how to write hello world and we have a title there. So now it works. And then we can refresh this and it is still there. But this is not that amazing because still every time I create a new chat or I open an old conversation, it will reload the page. But that is going to be too much for this video, so you will have to subscribe to my channel and wait for the next video where I continue to implement this chatbot. But let's do one more thing. I want to be able to delete some of these conversations from here. So let's do that. Let's add some kind of X here when we hover over it. Would that be good? That would be nice. So how do we in fact do that? We could just add a button here or another link. Let's in fact call it a button. And let's add a class, delete. And let's put an X inside this. And let's in fact move this on a separate line. Delete button. And delete button will be that. And we should know which chat ID this is. So let's add here an attribute called data ID. And I will pass in here the chat ID, which is just ID. And then I should do the same thing here when we create the new one. Now here's where it starts to get really messy, and I should really find a better way of doing it. But let's just do it now quickly, and then we can refactor in a future episode. So let's do let delete button equal document create element button, and delete button add attribute set attribute. Data ID will be chat ID, and delete button dot text content equals X. And then we will append the delete button to the title box. And then if we refresh, it's gonna look horrible. And let's check this new chat. And then let's say here something like, what is the meaning of life? Simple questions. As an AI language model, I don't have a personal belief about the meaning of life. Okay, and then we will get a very long answer. Well, not that long. Okay, the subjectivity of the meaning of life. All right, and we have a delete button here. So now let's style this delete button. So let's say that the position will be fixed. Actually, it will be absolute. And top 0, right 0. And our sidebar A should be position relative. Sorry, not sidebar A. This should be the li element. So this will be position relative. So now we can position this X where we want to put it. And let's do something like background none, border none, color white, and font weight bold, and font family. What is a good font? I'm using Ubuntu here, or am I? I think so. Doesn't look amazing, but we really should use some sort of icon here, not just an X. Well, let's do that. And let's do top 3 pixels, maybe 4 pixels, just 3. And let's actually put a black background. And let's put a border radius 5 pixels. And let's try to make this centered somehow. We can't make it centered because it's exactly the size that does not fit here. So I will say font size 0.9 em, 0.7. And let's do 4 pixels, 5 pixels. Okay, now 5 pixels is in the middle. And let's do right 5 pixels as well. And let's do width 25 pixels, 15 pixels. In fact, no width. I will just say that padding will be 0, 5 pixels, 3 pixels, 5 on the left and right, and 2 in the top and bottom. No, it's the other way. 2 and 5, 4. Okay, that is pretty good. And let's actually put 4 pixels again. And right 4 pixels. Okay, that's a pretty terrible looking button, but it will work. So then let's add a cursor pointer. Okay, that's pretty good. And then what I will do, I will copy this and I will go to my style.css and let's add here sidebar li position relative. And let's add sidebar li button, because there's just one button. Let's do li a button. Did I give it a class? I did give it a class, so I will say dot delete. I'll just say button dot delete. And I will paste this in there, and I will say display none. And then what I will do is I will say sidebar li hover button dot delete display block. So now one thing I have to do here is add the class here. Actually, I will say class list dot append delete. And then let's go back here and refresh. Then we don't see it now, but when we hover, then we see this X here. So now the only thing we have to do is when we click this button, something should happen. Now nothing happens. So we have to create a new endpoint that will delete a chat conversation. So let's go back here and let's just create a new file. So let's say code php/delete chat.php. And what we will do here is we will do session start. And let's say if we have not set post delete, then we will die and we will say error. Very descriptive error. And then what we will do is we will just say session chats post delete. Now I will move this into chat ID. Chat ID is that. And I will actually call it chat ID. Chat ID. And I will add here no chat ID provided. And then what I will do is I will say, actually just unset. Can I do unset with the session? I think I can. So that's what we will do. We will unset that chat ID. And then we will have to add some kind of functionality. This code looks horrible. I have to clean this up somehow. So what should we do? We should add an event listener somewhere. And actually we do not have this clear chat button anymore, so I will in fact replace this with the delete chat. But now how do I attach an event listener to all of those elements? In jQuery we can do something like this. We can say body on click, and then we can pass here the button, and then we can add a function and then do something. But how do we do this here? Can we add another selector here in this one? Type listener. No, because if I do add event listener on a specific element, then it has to be on the page already. But here I'm adding stuff with Ajax to it, so it will not add the event listener to this. So let's ask it. How can I do this in vanilla JavaScript? Body add event listener click function event target matches. Okay, that's great. So let's do that. So I guess I can do just document.body.add event listener click, and then we will have a function, and we will get the e from here, and we will say if e.target. What was it? Matches. Event target matches. Yeah, matches. And I will add here delete, button delete. Yeah. Then we will do something. And we will do exactly fetch, but we will fetch to delete chat.php. And then we will remove that element. Now again, I'm not doing any error handling here or any await or anything like this. I'm just sending the fetch and hope for the best. So then we have to delete the actual thing. So I will say e.target. How do I get the parent element? Parent. How do I get the parent element of the target? You can use the parent node property. Event target parent node. Okay, so I in fact have to do e.target.parent node .parent_node.remove, delete, remove child. How do I remove the parent element? Remove method. Okay. That is easy. Remove. Now again, there is probably a better way of doing this. And if you know one, then feel free to submit a pull request to this GitHub repository that you can find the link to in the description. But this should now work. So when we click anything on the body, we check if it is the delete button. Then we will fetch this URL, but actually we have to post to it. So it's not that simple. So how did the post work? Fetch and then method post body dead. Okay. And I think that I can set the body as just a string like this. I can say chat ID is, and then I have to get the chat ID, which will be e.target.get attribute. No, dot attribute. How do I get the attribute? Why is this so difficult? How do I get an data attribute? attribute of an element in vanilla.js. Get attribute. Well, thanks. Why am I not getting get attribute? Why is there no autocomplete? But then when I actually write it, then I get, okay. Get attribute data ID. And I will actually put this into its own variable, chat ID. And I will say I guess I should use const chat ID instead, only if it matches. And then we post to this one, delete chat, post chat ID, and we remove it. Great. So let's try this out and end this video. So refresh, and for some reason this is untitled now that I just asked. So let's try and delete. Click. Oops. Everything disappeared. All right, did we actually post something? Delete chat. No resource with given identifier. Chat ID is that. Okay, we sent it properly, but delete chat.php. Delete chat.php. Base URI. There is a slash already in the base URI. Really? Index.php. Base URI. Yes, there's a slash already. Now, I don't think that this matters, but let's remove it anyway. Delete chat.php. That is what it is called. Now, I in fact do not have to call parent node 2 times. I remembered that the button is inside the A element, but it's inside the LI element. So just one parent node is enough. So let's refresh and let's try again. Delete. It deletes it from here, and we sent delete chat, and we got no response. Because we do not get a response because I didn't add any response, but it did not delete it. So let's first of all say here, echo deleted. And I think that I cannot use unset. I have to in fact set it to null. Really? Is that correct? Session chats chat ID. Post chat ID. Okay, let's try again. Delete. Refresh. It's still there. Response failed to load response data. No resource with given identity. Delete. Refresh. 200 OK. Delete chat.php. No chat ID provided. Yeah, but here it is provided. I have to set the content type header. That's why it doesn't work. So let's go back to unset and let's go here and let's do the data thing here and let's say const data equals form data, new form data. And then we will say data.append chat ID. And let's go here and refresh and let's delete this and let's refresh. And it has been deleted successfully. So now we can delete the chats. Now, would be nice that we could not accidentally click this because now it deletes it right away. So let's just add a simple confirm here with just a JavaScript confirm. So let's just do here, if not confirm, are you sure you want to delete this conversation? Then we will return false and do absolutely nothing. So now if I go back here and I refresh and I click here, it will say, are you sure you want to delete this? And I say cancel, nothing happens. But if I actually delete it, okay, then it disappears, and if I refresh, then it has been deleted. So let me delete these untitled things from here and let's create a new chat and I will say, what is 1 plus 1? 2, thank you. And then we should get something here. But why is this not working again? We did not get a title for some reason. What is the problem? What is 1 plus 1? As an AI language model, I can confidently say that the answer. What? Why did it say this? As an AI language model, I can confidently say that the answer to 1 plus 1 is 2. Now, why did we break our beautiful title generation? Are we getting some errors? No errors. New chat. True. Is this because I used chat ID again? Probably. But like, why? No, it cannot be. I have to do this. This has to be const. In fact, all of these should be consts, and maybe then I will get some error. Let's see, const. And if I go back here, do we get any errors? Fav icon not found. Hello. It does not work for some reason. Let's have them as let's, and this should not do anything because we did not click the delete button. New chat. Aha. Create title. So in fact, I forgot to do that as well. I should have said if new chat, then we do this. And in fact, all of this. If it is a new chat, then we do all of this stuff. But why are we not doing that? Create title, question, response, title, link, chat ID. Hello. And let's open. Delete button class list append is not a function. Really? It is not append, it is add. That is why it broke. Add. And let's refresh. And let's say, good morning. Okay, we are encountering more and more bugs. What happened here? I hope that this is now the error that I have been looking for a long time. Let's see the console and the network. What did we get? We got an empty string, a comma, and how may I assist you? Let's check the error logs. Did we get an error? Because I am logging when this error happens, but we have no errors here. Good morning. Create title. That is interesting. Did it actually produce this output? Because this is like a continuation of this. Good morning. How may I assist you? Because this is based on completion, but this should be chat. That's very weird. Very weird. Customer service interaction, greetings and assistance. Interesting title. New chat. What is your name? As an AI language model, I do not have a personal name, but you can refer to me as OpenAI's language model. What to call the OpenAI language model? Okay, so now it's working. And I can delete all of these untitled things from here, like that. And that is great. So now, this will be the end of today's video. I will go over this code a little bit more and I will push it to my GitHub repository. So you can find it there and you can try it out. And let me know what do you think of this code in the comments. And if you want to make some improvements, then please go to my GitHub page and submit a pull request. So I will approve it if it is better than my code, which is not that hard to do because this looks kind of terrible. So thank you so much for watching today's video and I will see you in the next one.